Yo, what's going down, everybody? It is Straight Out of Boston here, aka the King of Boston, and today we have episode 5, I do believe, of the Around the League series. And today I'm using the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I'm facing off against the Los Angeles Clippers. So today, obviously, I'm going to be talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder, what I think of them, what my expectations are going to be for them. And obviously, this is one of the top teams in the West. I think a reasonable expectation for them is a finals appearance. I don't know if they'll get there. I don't think they will, but I think that should be one of pretty much their expectations to not, if not win the finals. Because even though they did trade James Harden, they did get a very valuable piece back in Kevin Martin. And something that people don't realize is that Kevin Martin's actually averaging more points per game this year than James Harden did last year. So, I'll discuss that trade a little bit in this commentary. But let's just get started. I'm going to quickly go through the roster. Obviously, Kevin Durant, superstar in this league. He's a stud. Came out of Texas. They list him at 6'9", but the guy's 6'11". Don't even let that fool you. He's got a 7-foot wingspan, 7'5" wingspan, I think, actually. He's got incredibly long arms, great shooter, great scorer. Needs to work on his defense a little bit, and I'd like to see him pass the ball around a little bit more, but he's rebounding the ball a lot this year. He has worked on his passing. He does need to work on his defense, though. And obviously Russell Westbrook as well. Russell Westbrook sometimes thinks he's the best player on the team, and I don't think he is. But you know what? Westbrook will work on that. He's getting a lot more assists this year. I have him on my fantasy team actually, so I would know that. Trust me. But anyway, now those are the two studs on the team, and Serge Ibaka. Serge Ibaka's had a really good year so far. He doesn't have the best offensive game, but he has a very nice 18 to 20 foot jump shot. He's even developed a bit of a 3-point shot too. And obviously his defense, probably the best shot blocker in the NBA. 3.5 blocks per game last year, close to that this year. And they've surrounded this team with a lot of nice role players. Now, I'll touch on Kevin Martin. Like I said, Kevin Martin's averaging more points per game than James Harden did last year. But here's the difference. James Harden's much more of an offensive threat. Obviously, you've seen that in the minutes that James Harden's gotten with the Rockets, he's vastly improved his scoring. And Kevin Martin's really a shooter. Doesn't shoot amazing off the dribble. I mean, he can shoot off the dribble, but he's not good at driving to the lane, and he's not a good defender. So that's where they lose out when they give up James Harden. And people don't realize about that deal is that was done because they did need to clear salary. They weren't going to be able to re-sign Harden. They offered him a 4-year, I believe 52 million or something like that, and Harden declined it. He wanted to go play for either his, I think, close to hometown team, the Suns, or just go to a place where he could start. He could be the franchise centerpiece if he wasn't going to get that max deal from the Thunder. I don't really have an opinion on his decision to, not accept that contract or whatever. Some people think he's a money whore. I don't. I think that it wasn't about the money. It was just about that he wanted to go somewhere else. He wanted to, I know he was very accepting of that sixth-man role, but he wanted to start. He wanted to be a franchise centerpiece. He wanted to let people know that he deserved that max contract, which he has since signed with the Houston Rockets, so he's going to be there for a while. But anyway, I'm going to talk about some of the role players on this team. And I also want to say that I think the Thunder did amazing in that trade. They did get a guy back in Kevin Martin who's a good filler for now, and they got about, 3 first-round picks or 2 first-round picks, I believe. So basically, if you look at the Thunder's previous draft history with Durant, Westbrook, and Harden, that's 4, needles in a haystack. And, well, I shouldn't say that because they're, finding great players like that isn't incredibly rare in a draft. But you know what? They've given themselves shots, a lot of shots to do that again. With those 2 extra first-round draft picks, the 2 draft picks that they have, even though those are going to be low-round draft picks. And they're also got a young guy, Jeremy Lamb, who is probably, who knows if he's going to be like a James Harden, but he's a chance, he's that type of player, and he is kind of what the Thunder want to do, and they want to rebuild through the draft. They want to keep building through the draft, so that's why they wanted Jeremy Lamb. So, I like Jeremy Lamb, too, a lot. I think he's going to be a great scorer. But, if he doesn't work out, they've given themselves a really good chance of finding at least one more guy like that. And when you get in a rookie contract, even if you're the number 1 overall pick, you're only getting like $14 million over 4 years. That's a very cheap deal. That's why it's really smart to rebuild through the draft. You don't have to pay those guys a lot for the first 4 years. It's a 2-year contract plus a 2-year team option, 1 for each year. So anyway, so let's get into the rest of this roster. I really like Thabo Sefolosha. I was a believer in him starting over James Harden every day. I know people always said that Harden should have started, but what people don't understand is that NBA teams have started to figure this out. And I read an article in the Bleacher Report about this and why Kent Bazemore should start for the Golden State Warriors. But championship contenders have a defensive specialist that always starts for them. Let's look at the teams last year. All right, Thunder, Thabo Sefolosha. Heat, LeBron James is the best perimeter defender in the league, most likely. Okay? And they started Shane Battier at the end of the year, too, who was also a great defender. Grizzlies, they start They started Tony Allen over OJ Mayo. Spurs, they started Danny Green over Manu Ginobili. Celtics started Avery Bradley over the best three-point shooter in the NBA, Ray Allen. Teams have figured out that you need a defensive specialist if you're going to contend. What it does is having that guy start is going to neutralize, the other team's best scorer as long as it's perimeter playing, instead of like Kevin Love or something. If it's Kevin Love, it's a different story. But if you are going up against Kobe Bryant, you put Thabo Sefolosha on him, and Sefolosha can get him off to a cold start. You know what? That gets in the mind of a shooter, and he might not be able to recover the entire game. And then you have a guy like James Harden come off the bench, and he dominates other teams' second units. I mean, he is so good against, weak defenders in the league. His first 2 games when he scored 45 and 27 points or whatever, those were against terrible teams. Those were against the Pistons, and I can't remember who the other game was against, but neither of those teams that he played had good defenders. That's why Harden was so good in Oklahoma City coming off the bench. It's because he was going up against second units that didn't have enough defenders to defend him. That sounded a little bit weird, but whatever. So teams have figured that out. I'm in favor of Sefolosha starting. They got Eric Manor back, who tore his ACL last year. Manor is another guy who, although he was taken kind of low in the draft, he's still kind of a guy they struck gold with. Eric Manor is one of the best backup point guards in the NBA, and they really missed him last year. People didn't realize that, but they missed that backup point guard coming off the bench. That's why they had to get Derek Fisher midway through the year. And now with Derek Fisher gone, Eric Manor's back. Hopefully he can fill in like he has in the past. They also have a guy named Reggie Jackson that's selected in the first round of the 2011 NBA draft out of BC. I'm a BC fan kind of because I live in the area, but I really don't know anything about him. They got Perry Jones, a guy who is a low risk, high reward considering where the Thunder are right now. And, if Perry Jones doesn't work out, whatever, he was taken 27th overall, I believe. But if he works out, he's got a world of potential. So I think that was a good draft pick for them. I think he has a chance to mature himself in that organization. They also have guys like Hasheem Thabeet and, Daniel Orton, who have great potential. And, they have potential that's been unfilled. And I think that it being in Oklahoma City, we've seen now guys like Jan Mahimni who have kind of come into their own in their 4th or 5th year in the NBA. So I think we have a chance at seeing something like that with both Daniel Orton and Hasheem Thabeet. Do I think it'll happen? No, I really don't. But there's a chance. And like I said, it's the Thunder strategy of finding guys who you're going to pay cheap money and seeing if they're going to work out. Because you know what? Who knows? They might. You also got a guy like Nick Collison, who's one of the smartest players in the NBA, one of the best role players in the NBA, great defender. Kendrick Perkins, who sometimes people think of the Jeff Green, Kendrick Perkins deal to be not a great one. But when I look at it, I see that the Celtics getting a very talented man in Jeff Green. And I kind of wish we hadn't given up Perkins, because Perkins is a great, I'm not going to call him a great rebounder, but he would really help the team's offensive and defensive rebounds in Game 7 of that 2011 finals game, or 2010 finals game. But that is besides the point. So I like Perkins. I like what this team has done surrounding guys like Durant and Westbrook and Ibaka with. I think that Perkins is great. They got another defensive player in the interior. They were able to move Ibaka to his natural position at the power forward. I think it was a great deal. I think Perkins has worked out for them. He provides that tough mentality for that team. And overall, I like this team. I don't know if they're going to make it to the finals. I would pick the Grizzlies, the Clippers, or, the Spurs. I think the Spurs are going to the finals, personally, but I would pick any of those teams over them. But anyway, that is going to wrap up this video. I've already gone over the video, limit or whatever length. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I think this team will make it to the Western Conference Finals and lose to the Spurs. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and Zozum out. Peace.